Hey Chaotic Crew, Brian here with a new deck tech for you. The spice we're working with today from the Assassin's Creed set, the white card in the cycle that you can have as many of it in your deck as you want. It's Templar Knight. So we're slipping a bunch of knights onto the battlefield, getting some legendary artifacts on there too, and it's just going to be a fun time here. Now, the question when you're playing a deck like this is, who is the commander gonna be? There's a few different ones you could go with, and as you could probably tell, we're in Jeskai colors, so blue, white, and red. But who is the commander going to be? You could probably argue that Éowyn from the Lord of the Rings deck could be a good commander, but I actually think a really underrated commander for this deck is Satya, Aetherflux Genius. And the reasoning behind that, you might think, well, this isn't an energy deck. They have nothing to do with energy. Why am I putting him as the commander here? And I think Satya is just a great card in general. I'm planning on using him to build a personal deck of mine where it's just Jeskai enter the battlefield triggers, because he has Menace and Haste, and there's 3/5, so good stats already for 4 mana. And whenever he attacks, you create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of up to one other target non-token creature. You get 2 energy, and then beginning of the next end step, you sacrifice the token unless you pay an amount of energy equal to its mana value. So it could be really good in an enter the battlefield deck or a blank deck where you just want to get that enter the battlefield or dying or leave the battlefield triggers, right? You don't have to pay the 2 energy. You can just keep building it up. But what makes him work so good with the Templar Knights is Templar Knights are 2 mana. So you're making token copies, you're making the 2 energy, and then you can just pay those right off, right? So Satya is a great way to get multiple copies of Templar Knight onto the battlefield. Sometimes decks like these that can sort of struggle to get, like Dragon's Approach struggles to get the 5 in the graveyard or whatnot. This helps make having only 1 or 2 or 3 copies in the hand turn into a lot more. So definitely, I think, a really underrated commander for this style of deck. And let's just get into, what the game plan is, right? We're playing sort of a Knight Kindred deck here, or a bit of a human Kindred, since Satya is a human. We'll get to the artifact ability later on Templar Knight, but I want to sort of, we understand the main way we're going to win with this deck is by getting in on our opponents. So the main way we're going to do that is with some of these cards right here. We've got Adriana to give all our creatures melee. So if we have 3 creatures attacking 3 separate opponents, they're all going to get +3/+3 until end of turn. So that can be very huge there. Aragorn makes, creatures not able to block. We got Tom from the Rampart that is helping us. We have Herald of Hoofbeats to give horsemanship. We have Mirror Box that's buffing our creatures a ton. And so a bit of spice here. Goldbug making our damage to our attacking humans none. So that can be a little bit of card draw too, which is really nice. He's pretty fun in this deck. The biggest weakness to this deck, I would say, is board wipes in general. So we've got a few pension plans for our human knights here, making them indestructible, or Guardian of Faith here, even phasing them out. We got a decent ramp package. We don't need a ton of ramp, right? Because our commander costs 4. We typically want a creature on the battlefield before our commander comes into play, so we can go ahead and start copying it. But these are some good 2-drop mana rocks. And then Herald's Horn helps us draw cards, as well as Okutcha's Monument, because just more bodies in the battlefield. And then the artifacts that we're going to be searching for. Our Templar Knight, we don't want a ton of legendary artifacts. I think it's really easy to just want to slip in as many legendary artifacts as possible. There are a few good ones. I tried to make this deck somewhat budget. I think the 242 you see at the bottom is mostly inflated by the 24 times $6 here of the Templar Knight, which is definitely half the deck's price. So I would just say proxy all of those. For the rest is fairly budget, I would say. There's a few big spenders. Thrumming Stone you want to have in here. Probably the one you're going to get the most off of your Templar Knights. You just want to build a massive board. Graz, if you already have a big board of Knights, can help finish that game out, right? Making all your knights 5/3s instead of just 3/1s. Embercleave to give maybe your commander double strike, which could be helpful. And then, of course, the Circle of Loyalty, really good, and just buffs your creatures and gives you more value as the game goes on. We've got a couple of card draw here. We do include Éowyn, as I may have mentioned earlier. She helps us draw cards, and Isle of Oblivion, really good too with our commander. And then some good lands and some control pieces. A couple counters, We've got a board wipe that's one-sided. We have a removal, so some good stuff here. When we're running 24 Templar Knights, it's hard to run too much of anything else, but let's just jump right into it and see how it plays. Now, the thing with these decks is they tend to be a bit one-sided, a bit, single-minded, where you're just doing the same thing over and over again, and that can be boring at times, but I think this is a pretty fun take on it. We've got Temple of Triumph. I think we keep this hand 3 lands and 3 colors, so definitely we want to draw one of our Templar Knights here, but we also can get our commander out and get multiple of these Knight Exemplars to really make our boards very scary. So we can just jump right into it. First turn, I'll play the Temple and scry the mountain to the bottom. Turn 2, we do get a counter, which is nice. So we'll go ahead and play the island. We can go ahead and counter something and get 2 free energy off of it if we wanted to. I'd say typically we hold this up, though. Turn 3, we get the Thrumming Stone, but no Templar Knights yet. I guess we'll go ahead and play this Knight Exemplar, so that next turn we can play the commander and get a... we would have to sacrifice it, but we can at least go ahead and get in some extra damage. So turn 4, okay, we do get the Templar Knight. So turn 4, we are going to play the commander, and we get an extra Knight Exemplar. We'll get 2 energy, and we have to sacrifice the Knight Exemplar at the end of turn. Turn 5, if we keep our board state, we draw the land, which is really nice. We could go for the greedy play with Thrumming Stone, and then next turn we can go into Templar Knight territory to sort of get that Thrumming Stone trigger. I think that might be the play. That way, we can have some counter spells if there's any interaction on the next turn. They pretty much gives our opponents, you got to deal with this in one turn or else. So I say we go ahead and do that. We get the second Knight Exemplar, and now it's actually, we have the energy to keep it at the end of turn, which is really nice. And so if we keep stuff until turn 6, that's when it's going to get spicy for us. Now, obviously, that's Magical Christmas Land. We might get the Thrumming Stone removed or the Commander removed, but I think it's still in a good spot here. Even if we didn't have Thrumming Stone, we've got a few really good cards here that help us keep going forward. We can start making copies of the Templar Knight with our commander. We have counter backup. We have Mirror Box to start making things bigger. Circle of Loyalty to give us value. Scourge of the Throne also eventually going to give us extra combats, which means more triggers with our commander, which is definitely nice there. Let's go ahead and hit into another game here. Okay. I like this one a lot too. We've got some ramp pieces, some Templar Knights, so that's pretty much the game plan of the deck, so let's jump right into it. Turn 1, we get some removal, which is nice. I think we'll play the Command Tower first. Next, we'll play the Island. We draw a 3rd land, which is nice. The Island, we'll go ahead and play this tapped Solar Transformer, just because next turn we can actually start playing multiple things. So next turn, we play the 3rd land, and we can go 2 Templar Knights here, or we can go 2 Signets into a Templar Knight. I think I like the 2 Signets into a Templar Knight, just in case we draw something really nice, and that way we still have some value on the board, right? So if I just do this right, 1, 2 for the Signet, and then 1, 2 for the Signet, and then 1, 2 for the Templar Knight. And now this turn, we have enough for our commander and another Templar Knight, so let's go ahead and play that and that, and now we have 3 Templar Knights for the turn, which is really great. Because we'll keep it at the end step, since it'll be 2 mana. And now we're turn 5. I've only had a Haste Giver in our hand. We could play the Mirror Box, which is nice, and then we get, our Templar Knights are going to get massive, and then we can hold up removal as well, which is nice. I think people might get scared of having the 5th Templar Knight on the board, so they maybe will start to block ours or whatnot, but that's where the Mirror Box really helps here, because it's going to give them all, or at least the non-token ones, right, are going to get buffed a lot. But the token ones prone to dying, but then we don't have to spend the energy on them, and we have enough to essentially go off next turn. And then, of course, if we go out, we draw the Templar Knight, so let's just say we have 2 copies, right, and we played one of these last turn. We have enough to basically go and get the legendary artifact, which could be the thrumming stone. Bam. And then, so we haven't played any mana this turn. We'll go ahead and tap 2 for the Templar Knight, and we'll ripple 4. We get 2, so we ripple 4. Another one. We have 2 more ripple 4 triggers. Still 2 more ripple 4 triggers. Okay, 1 more ripple 4. Okay, that's it. That's what we get on that. These, I think these, the rest go on the bottom of the library, but I'm just going to put them in the exile pile here, out of sight, out of mind, because we really only have this that we're working with here, and then we have another Templar Knight, right? We have the mana for another one, so why not? Let's just cast it and ripple 4, see what happens. We get another one, get another one, another one. All right. And you could definitely edit this deck whatever way you want to go with War Leader's Call, Impact Trimmers. Those are definitely great options to have in here. I think I just prefer the combat method, right? Because then you don't feel like you're really winning with the Templar Knights. You're just winning with Thrumming Stone shenanigans. So I built it this way so I can at least giving my opponents a turn. There is one Haste Giver in the deck, so if I do end up having that and I'm lucky, then that's always nice. But definitely a fun deck, and one you might catch your friends off guard if you come up with Satya. They're like, oh, an energy deck, and then you pull this out on them. Surprise! But yeah, I hope you guys had fun. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what deck from Assassin's Creed you're excited to build. Maybe I'll build it next time. Who knows? But anyways, I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you then. Take care.